Coach, good to see you. Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome.
Uh, Von Miller had an interesting offseason, relentless, added weight, strength, and he said he wanted to be a more vocal leader, more assertive. What have you observed from Von in that regard, and how do you think his, added strength and muscle can translate into this season as he gets in, being an older player?
Yeah, well, that's a two-part question. The first part is he's kind of going out there and practicing hard and leading by example and demonstrating, hard work and technique. And he's kind of refocused in those areas. And then as far as the added weight, power, and strength, there are some gains there. We're just seeing them. It's early in practice right now, but everything's positive.
Next up, Nick Kosmider, go ahead.
Yeah, Ed, just what's been your impression of Bradley Chubb as he works his way back from the ACL injury and how he's looked in training camp?
Yeah, really. Well, he's definitely working his tail off. And, he just has a great mindset about it. He's on the proper path. Everything points to him being full speed when we start things out with games.
Next up, Jeff Legwood.
Hey, Ed, Vic has talked a lot about Devontae Harris, Devontae Bosby, or Isaac Yadim, that one or two of those guys has to take a big jump this year. Where do you come down on how they're doing right now and what you've seen from them?
Yeah, they're both in there, and it's important to our team. It is still, very open and fluid, and we're giving them all chances to do this. But right now, we're going to take as much time as we need. We know there's limited time in this year, but every practice we're putting them out there, and we're keeping track of everybody, and we'll have a good player ready to start or contribute when the time comes.
What are the tiebreakers in your mind? I mean, what are you looking for when you're reviewing those guys?
Yeah, the first thing is you got to show toughness. To be part of our defense and be a contributor, you're going to have to show toughness, and you're going to have to show that you operate with the group and that you can keep the flow with the group. So those are the two things.
Next up, Ryan O'Halloran.
Hey, Ed, what kind of first 8 practices for Bryce Callahan?
Very good, very good. He came in and did some work with the early group, and he's moving very well, and everything looks like his injury is totally behind him.
Next up, Mike Kliss, go ahead.
Yeah, Ed, any concern at inside linebacker depth? You taking some hits there the last couple of days with Todd Davis, and then Sternad went off the game.
Yeah. Well, anytime you lose, a frontline player, there's some concern, but we're looking at it early enough in camp as opportunity. We'll step the guys up, and Todd will be back. It's temporary, but we can develop some depth and experience.
Next up, Andrew Mason, go ahead.
Speaking of that depth at inside linebacker before the injury, what have you seen in Justin Sternad? And also, it seems like Josh Watson's always around the ball when he's out there. What have you seen from him?
First Justin Sternad. He brings a little different guy. He's a little longer and a longer player that can match up with the length tight ends that he might be in coverage with. But right now he's just learning, and he's trying to keep up. And all these days are critical that he's responding and advancing.
Next up, Brenda Costello, go ahead.
Hey, Ed, we didn't get to see much of Kareem Jackson in training camp last year because he got hurt so early. And maybe because it was his first year, we didn't hear him as much. But I think he's definitely the guy that we hear the most. Is that what you saw all during the regular season, or does he amp it up a little bit because it's ones versus ones in training camp?
He has a leadership style, and he brings energy to the group. And with him and Justin together, I just think they're A++ leaders for our defense. And they do it in different ways. And they're in a great harmony together, the way they do it. So it's really the pair of those two guys that makes it special.
Next up, Zack Stevens.
Ed, who stuck out to you behind Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons in the safety group?
Yeah, well, you got Trey Marshall, that actually started some games for us last year. He's on the proper path, having a good camp. Elijah Holder, PJ as well. So they're all battling around. It's not a lot of numbers back there, but everything they do in special teams will have a part in our final decisions.
Last two, Ryan and Troy. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, Ed, you've been with Vic at the second year in San Francisco, Chicago, and now here. In your experience, does he add to the scheme, or after a year, does he trim it down to take advantage of the strengths of the guys he has?
Well, the history is our defenses, because it's the third time we've put it in together. They usually spike in year 2. And it's because guys have a better understanding of everything that's going on. This is a unique year. And Vic he's put a lot of hard work in the schedule and the challenge to the players and staff. And our staff and coaches have responded in an extraordinary way. Just the way we work together. There's just a lot of teamwork going on between the staff and the coaches. So he's challenged us. There's hard work. It's training camp. And I really like the way everybody's responded.
Last one, Troy, go ahead, please.
Looked like Jarrell Casey was really active today. He's had multiple practices like that. Does he allow you to do things differently up front with the chaos he can kind of cause? And what are you seeing from him in this camp?
Every player is different, but he's an experienced NFL player that, can bring his skills, to our team, and we can plug him in. But he's been a inside rusher, that can win one-on-ones and stir things up. So he'll add that to our rush.